So far, we've made some pretty good progress towards our goal. We've gone from a simple Hello World application to something that is RESTful Hello World, and now we're actually turning on a light with the CM19A driver in the REST framework, so this is good. But now it's time to take it a bit further and to start thinking about how to map URL routes to meaningful classes. So toward that end, what we're going to do is we're going to create a class with an actual name that makes sense in the context of home automation. And then we're going to add a URL route to map to that class. And then we're going to learn a bit about catching parameters in the URL routes and using those instead of just hard coding the commands we want to send to the CM19A driver. And then finally, we'll take a bit of a look at understanding precedence and route specification and what impact that's going to have on you as you build out your home automation server. If you look at what we've done so far here, it's starting to come together a bit, but you'll notice that this is all in a class called Hello, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It made sense at first with the Hello World REST, but as we move towards home automation, not quite so much. So let's put this in a class called Lights, and specifically, let's make the put method itself, where we turn on and off the lights, in this new class called Lights. And let's go over here and restart the web server. And then I'm going to pull up Fiddler, and let's take a look at what happens when we reissue our put request that we've been using here. So I am going to re-execute this. It's put. And what you'll see here is actually a 405, meaning method not allowed. So now we're mapping to this hello class that was here, but we're doing a put method. And remember, that class no longer has a put method. So to get things working with the new class that I've put into place, what we're going to need to do is start thinking about the routes that we're mapping here. And so up here is this URLs that's been kind of taken for granted and I haven't explained much. This is a tuple, which means that it's a sequence of values. And in general, it's a pattern that takes a URL path and matches it to a class. So I'm going to add the path lights here, and then I'm going to match that to the lights class. And what I'm going to do now is go and restart the web server. And I'm going to bring Fiddler back up. And this time I expect that if I hit this URL and I say that I want to do message, we shouldn't get it there. We should still get that 405. But what we should be able to do now is add this new route, which is lights. And if we execute that, there goes a successful iteration of turning on the lights. And now we have the ability to turn the lights on, but as you can see, on is currently hard-coded into this method, which makes it not especially useful. So what we really want to do here is add a parameter to allow specification of the command, and then we'll use this parameter in what we're sending over to the CM19A driver. Now, in order to do that, we have to add a parameter to the route, and this is accomplished via regular expression in this WebPY framework. So what I'm adding here is something that in this syntax is going to say, I'm going to accept one of two parameters, either on or off, in the URL route. And I'll show you what goes on here now in Fiddler. So if we execute a put request the way we were before, you're going to actually see this fail right now. I'm going to restart the web server here. And what we're going to do is execute this and observe that it should fail because it should no longer accept this route. We've altered the route that it's going to accept. And there you see there is the 404. But if we now are to go here and add a parameter to this, one of the ones we accept, say off, as you can see here with the light, I'm going to execute this and the light goes off. So that's obviously making it through. Now I have the ability to turn this light back on. So it's successfully accepting this command parameter. If we were to go in here and do something else, this would also be rejected with a 404. Now that for the first time we're seeing multiple paths specified in the URLs tuple, it bears mentioning that there is an order of precedence to things here. So what I'd like to show you at this point is we're accepting on or off as valid parameters, but what if we wanted to catch the rest? What I'm going to do is I'm going to add another route, and I'm going to use a wildcard to catch pretty much anything, well, exactly anything else that's going to come into this lights as an argument. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to redirect this to a class called errors, and this is going to be a new class that I create just for the sake of example. And what I'll do is come down here and I'm going to specify this class error, And I'm going to define a put method on this as well to mimic the one on lights. And I'm going to catch any command here that isn't either on or off. And I'm going to print to the console if this happens. And then we'll take a look over in Fiddler at what this looks like. And this will give you some idea as to what the order of operations or order of precedence in this URL setup is. So let me restart the web server here, and then I'll bring Fiddler over and we'll execute a couple of queries on this. And I'm not going to show the light turning on and off. You can just see what's going on in the console output. So I'm going to clear what's going on here and then specify a command that we're expecting to succeed. So we should see some output. And there it goes. This is the output associated with a successful invocation of the CM19A driver. So off and on work as we expect. But let's try something else. And there we have console output that user entered an invalid command, just as we specified in the errors class. So that was expected. Now let's go change up the ordering of this a little to see what this looks like. So we're going to make the general catch-all with the wildcard go before the on-off specification. And so what this is going to look like, I can tell you in advance, is that we would expect the first one to capture everything that comes in. So let's make sure that that's true. So here, if we execute something else, we'd expect to see the same message. This is not going to be caught by the on pipe off. But what if we put off in here? Well, now we're still catching it in the errors class. And the reason for that is it's going to take the first one specified. It's going to find the first match in this list. So that's an important thing to bear in mind here as you flesh out your routes and build on your own home automation server. What I'm going to do, just for the sake of moving on in the next clip, is delete this error class because we don't actually need it. I just wanted to show you how the order of precedence in this URL's tuple works.